Welcome, everybody, to the AI verse. And in today's episode, I'll be covering the roundup of the month of January 2024. So, all the exciting things that happen in January 2024 to do with artificial intelligence, metaverse, and the world of investing in relation to these two areas. So, with that, we'll get into the episode because I've got a table of contents here that you can actually have a look at. So, the AI verse. Everything here is just personal opinion only. It's not financial advice. So if you choose to do anything based on this information, that's on you. It's entertainment purposes only. So the contents today, very cool month. There's been especially some really awesome things in Metaverse, which has been exciting to see because we haven't seen much there. So first, as always, we start with artificial intelligence. We're going to start with the headline story. So we always start with what I feel is the best story of the month, and then the everyday implementation. So stories on how this is being implemented in our everyday life, some advances in science, which I think are extremely cool, the things that artificial intelligence is discovering on its own, and the workforce implications. This is something that people are really worried about. This is something that I'm continuing to discuss from a mindset perspective. The cultural implications of artificial intelligence, supercomputers and their impact, and robotics, then into the metaverse and some devices. So there's been some amazing devices. So I do have some videos in this particular episode as well. So make sure you can skip to any part that you like. And then towards the end, some investing and how there's records been broken. So all in all, a very exciting episode that's coming up. So with that, we'll get into it. So I'm doing a slightly different format this week. Hopefully this is maybe a little bit better and a little bit more clear, and it actually makes it easier for me as well. So hopefully it's a good symbiotic relationship that we have here. So, okay, so first of all, Rabbit. So this new device which came out, so I would definitely recommend going to this if you're really interested in this. So www.rabbit.tech. So I'll leave the link in the description as well. So $199 a month US. So it's much cheaper than a phone. So basically, this is your pocket AI companion. So to get a really, really good understanding, so I'm just going to flick through this. It's basically an operating system. It's a personalized operating system that learns through natural language, and you can communicate to it with natural language. So it's push to talk. So at the moment, obviously, whenever you engage with artificial intelligence, generally it's going to ChatGPT or Bard or whatever it is, Claude, and basically typing into those interfaces. Whereas this device, you can actually speak to it and it will take you basically anywhere. So it has a far field mic, 360-degree rotational eye, and it's actually, I mean, it's a really, really beautiful, it's a really beautiful object. It also has a unique way of actually utilizing it. So it has this analog scroll wheel, so different to your everyday touch screens, although you can utilize it as a touch screen as well, but it just has that added feature. So it does also take USB-C SIM card slots, and on here, so it's a very nifty sized device. So it's a bit smaller than a mobile phone, and so it can fit in your pocket. I would definitely recommend going here. It's been selling out repeatedly, so they keep releasing new batches, and each new batch sells out repeatedly. So I would recommend going onto here, and you can basically go through this website. What I would suggest is watching the keynote. That would be the first thing. So that was the first thing that I did. I watched the keynote. It's a very cool little video. I might just very quickly, I'll just skip to like the revealing of it so we can actually see what it's about.
Hi everyone, my name is Jesse and I'm the founder and CEO of Rabbit. That you don't need to learn how to use it. The best way to achieve this is to break away from app-based operating system currently used by smartphones. Instead, we envision a natural language-centered approach. The computer we're building, which we call a companion.
So obviously at the moment with your phone, whenever you want to integrate with an artificial intelligence application, or really any application for that matter, it's all done through individual apps. So that was something that I really loved about this. There is no individual app. The operating system itself is, you could consider that to be the app. So there is no like hundreds of different apps that you have to download, just the operating system which you communicate with. And as you just mentioned, it's your companion. So it's a really cool idea. So we'll go back to this and just play a little bit more of it.
Should be able to talk to, understand, and more importantly, get things done for you. The future of human-machine interfaces should be more intuitive. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at the existing mobile devices that we use daily. The one device that's in your pocket, the smartphones, like iPhone and Android phones. These guys been here for years, and we've grown tired of them.
So this is something that I completely agree on in terms of the intuitiveness of it, having to use lots of different apps. I actually discussed this idea with a friend recently about, oh, could we make an all-in-one app? Which then I thought, well, that's really just an operating system. So this itself is an operating system. So it's really cool that I have these ideas and they get implemented into the world. So it really validates that idea, because I thought, well, maybe this is a bit of a crazy idea, but maybe that's also where I got the idea from. The world's consciousness kind of fluctuated it into my mind. So it's basically a development on mobile phones. So in that sense, let's actually go to the reveal so you can actually see what the device looks like, because it's really nice looking. It's a really neat looking device.
Your pocket companion.
So it's a really beautiful looking device. And honestly speaking, I would probably purchase it. I mean, for $200 or 199 US, it's actually not that much. If I, like, perhaps at the end of the crypto bull market, I would invest in something like this just to see what it's like, and just to have the ease of access. The push to talk is the key for me. The push to talk and the AI companion right there all the time, having to type things all the time. And whenever you think of an idea and having to open up an app, this layer of convenience is really good. The only quote unquote issue that I would see with something like this and with all these types of devices moving forward is the privacy layer. So who actually owns the data and who has access to that data? That's going to be a big thing moving forward, because realistically, we should be able to own our own data. And I guess it's fine if we don't, but then who has access to that data? I don't want people spying on my data. I don't mind my data being utilized by the company so that they can actually deliver me things based on what I'm actually like, but I don't want to be spied on by governments and corporations in a malevolent manner. And it's not that I've got anything to hide. It's simply just a matter of principle. They don't have that right, and I do not give them that right. So I think this is something that's very important to really be aware of moving into the future, because, from where I sit, no government I consider to be the good guy. Like, there's no good guys and bad guys. I don't believe in any of that. There's just the human mind and people's self-centered interests. And you scale that out to a government, they're only looking after their own self-interest. And I don't want to participate in something like that, because I don't believe in their self-interest in any more than I believe in any individual government's self-interest. I have a completely different mindset and a completely different consciousness based on this. So now to the everyday use cases. So OpenAI App Store for GPTs will launch next week. So this is really cool. So basically utilizing, you can already start coding with ChatGPT. So OpenAI plans to launch a store for GPTs, custom apps based on its text generating AI models sometime in the coming weeks. So this by now would have been revealed. So this is something that's really exciting. It's really, again, democratizing these sorts of things. So basically, you can create your own GPTs, and having an app store that people can create in and launch into, that's hopefully going to democratize the process more than at the moment, where with something like Apple, they really have a strangle over the app store, with particularly with Apple devices. So much of the value towards the app company goes towards Apple in the first place. And this is something that people unfortunately are beholden to, because Apple has a real stranglehold on the market. So that's capitalism. That's their choice, but this is where competition comes into it. So Basically, the GPT store was announced last week during the developer conference Dev Day, but delayed in December. So almost certainly due to the leadership shakeup that occurred with Sam Altman. So that was a big story from last month. And basically, GPTs don't require any coding experience. So this is the key, and it can be as simple or as complex as a developer wishes. For example, a GPT can be trained on a cookbook collection so that it can answer questions about ingredients for a specific recipe, or a GPT could ingest a company's proprietary code bases so that developers can check their style or generate their code. So people can create their own GPTs. And this is something that I've been experimenting with my friend with, and I haven't really delved a lot into it. And this is also something that my meditation has delved into as well, with developing GPTs related to the meditation content that we have. But always, again, the issue is going to be privacy and security. Who actually owns this data? And OpenAI with Microsoft are definitely not someone who looks out for the benefit of the individual. So this is going to be something that's going to be a very interesting area of discovery in the future. So Microsoft adds AI button on keyboards to call up chatbots. So that's really cool. So it's just becoming more and more in your everyday. So at the moment, I've got my little, oh, you can barely see it here, but I've got my little Dell keyboard. I absolutely love and adore this Dell keyboard. It's extremely convenient. I take it around with me as well. With my laptop, I find it very easy to use. The buttons are awesome. And now, obviously, they're adding this new button of AI. So AI is really just becoming an everyday part of our life. And this is really just another step in that direction of becoming completely integrated into our day-to-day lives. So whether you like it or you don't like it, it's really just, it's about accepting that this is what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. Another thing here, so LG focuses on changes in artificial intelligence for their new products. So they're really focusing in on the power of artificial intelligence and connecting all their products through this kind of mechanism. And this is going to be very interesting. So LG is one of the first to show its card. So starting with a paradigm shift where it reaffirms the change it made last year from being a consumer electronics company to now being a company focused on smart living solutions. So we have things like the Google Nest, we have things like Alexa. So now really integrating all the different LG technologies with a certain kind of AI, which is obviously a different kind of AI, and it creates a decentralized smart home. So this is really interesting at the moment. Again, everything is moving towards connectivity. So just like Rabbit, you have all these different apps and it's basically bringing all that into a singular operating system. This is also what's happening now, or what's going to happen with LG's devices, bringing it towards some kind of a singular consciousness that controls it, or computer for, basically, you probably would prefer to use the term computer rather than consciousness. And they're calling it affectionate intelligence rather than AI. So that's quite cute. Google also adds AI-powered overviews for multi-search in Lens. So the Google phones, I've got a Google Pixel, and their phones are really exceptional, and taking photos and how they utilize artificial intelligence to actually adjust and alter the images is really exceptional. And now also they're basically now integrating another layer into their Lens. So basically you can take a shot of something, and with the AI, it can do a search of what you've taken an image of. So they're really stepping ahead of the game. All these big tech companies, Google, Microsoft, LG, they're really trying to compete against each other to become the innovators of the artificial intelligence space. So in addition to a new gesture-powered search feature for Android devices, Google today also introduced an AI-powered addition to its visual search capabilities in Google Lens. So as of today, users will be able to point their camera or upload a photo or screenshot to Lens, then ask a question about what they're seeing to get answers via generative AI. So that is really cool. So at the moment, for a long time, you've been able to upload images on Google search, and it will basically find that image on the internet or similar kinds of images. Now we can actually take a picture of something and ask the AI about what this picture actually is, and to get more answers related to this actual image. So I thought this was really cool as well. So obviously, Feds kick off National AI Research Resource with pilot program live today. So this is really cool. A year to the day after it was proposed, the National AI Research is coming online, at least in pilot form, as a coalition of US agencies and private partners start to apply billions in federal funding toward public access tools for aspiring AI scientists and engineer. So this is something that the Biden administration is on top of. And this is what we're starting to see the smart governments doing. And as we know, United States is the world's superpower. They're the innovators. They're at the top of the food chain, and they want to stay at the top of the food chain. And so there's a lot of governments that are really making big pushes towards investments in the AI field to actually drive investment within that country. So this is a really positive thing. The competition is really positive, and I think it will start to drive more innovation and attract younger people into the field. I already think the younger people are just naturally being attracted to the field because it really is the big innovation of our current time. So, but the fact that they're now pledging lots of money towards developing these innovations is a massive positive towards the development of artificial intelligence. Okay, so now on to the next section. Oopsies. Now on to the next section. So the next section we have is, here we go. So we have science. So I really loved this one. I was actually talking to my friend the other day, and we had this discussion about, wouldn't it be cool if, like, these things, I think it was sulfur, and how long it actually took humans to discover what sulfur was and the kind of use case that sulfur has in our society. What would it be like if artificial intelligence could discover something like this? And days later, after talking about this via chat together, basically this new material, well, this would have happened before that, but I basically saw this article after that conversation. So new material found by AI could reduce lithium use in batteries. So this is exceptional, because obviously the cost of lithium is always going to be an issue in the scaling of batteries, and really the cost of materials in batteries in general is an issue, especially in terms of what people perceive to be the issues with climate change, and how producing these batteries actually ends up being a negative effect. But AI is actually discovering ways to reduce the lithium use in batteries. And so as these ideas start to scale out, as all these concepts and different artificial intelligence get interconnected and start connecting all the data that they've individually been learning through different sources, we're going to start to come up with some really innovative ideas. Well, not us, but artificial intelligence. But really, I guess, yes, us, because I consider us to just be the universe, and artificial intelligence is the universe. So it's really just the universe discovering more of the universe. And we just have this tool that's helping us discover more of the universe, which is one of the main reasons why I love artificial intelligence as a tool. I don't really want to see the negative sides of it. I just stay on the positive. And this is something that is really, really cool, that things are actually being discovered. And again, in terms of the pharmaceutical and the medical industry, it can be extremely revolutionary, because as good as Western medicine is, it can also be very problematic. So you might go see a doctor, and without understanding the root cause, they'll prescribe you with one particular medicine, and then you're on this medicine which creates some other kind of adverse effect, and then you get another medicine for that adverse effect, and then you get another kind of symptom, and you just keep getting more and more of these medications. Whereas if we can start to work out from the start, hang on a minute, these are the kind of issues that it can create. Through the intelligence of artificial intelligence, we're really going to increase people's lifespan and the self-discovery of materials and sciences. So this is, again, just something that's going to be very exciting to keep an eye on as we continue to scale up through artificial intelligence. Okay, so on to the next thing. Now, the workforce. This is a big issue for a lot of people. A lot of people have fear around artificial intelligence stealing our job. And, well, it's just a matter of, it's going to be the reality of it. So Google cuts over 1,000 jobs in its voice assistants, hardware teams as Fitbit founders leave. So this is just one of the many articles I saw within this month, and I've only just chosen to highlight this one because it seemed to have the most. But there was quite a few where I saw 10% of the workforce has been cut off, a few hundred workers have been cut off due to AI actually coming along and making those jobs irrelevant. AI can do it much more efficiently and much more cheaper than humans can. So obviously, Google has laid off these people, but I, again, choose to stay on the side of positivity. So this is a new era is upon us, with AI employees and humans working in symbiosis. This is what interests me, symbiosis. We've just released Ava, the sales rep artisan. She's an AI BDR on steroids, and she's available to hire now. The best part, you manage everything by chatting to her. Now, the cost of Ava is exponentially smaller than the cost of hiring somebody. This is the thing. unless you're getting, I mean, if you're in Australia or the United States or the UK, like an affluent society, the cost of labor is quite expensive. And we can actually reduce our cost of labor by outsourcing it to, say, the Philippines or India or something like this. But of course, then there's the issue of language and being understood. With artificial intelligence, we can actually see how we can start to reduce the cost of staff and increase the output of the staff members because we're paying a lot less and we're actually getting a lot higher quality service. This presents a lot of issues for those third world countries because I'm sure that they actually rely heavily on the work that's actually provided by some of the first world countries. But again, I do believe AI will come in and fill in those gaps and support those countries in some way or another. So let's actually just look at this little clip and see what kind of innovations are happening.
Sales representatives spend millions of hours tediously researching prospects, writing emails, and booking in meetings. But what if we told you it doesn't have to be that way? Introducing Ava, the sales rep artisan. Ava is just like anyone else on your team. She has a unique personality and gets to know you. She has conversations with her colleagues via Slack. She learns how the company works and gets better at her job. Except Ava isn't like her colleagues at all. Ava is a first-of-her-kind, cutting-edge AI agent trained to revolutionize outbound sales. Ava is an artisan. She prospects using her database of over 250 million contacts with 65 parameters. She crafts and sends intent-driven bespoke email sequences to thousands of prospects per month. She responds to prospect questions using her superhuman product knowledge. She self-improves using her advanced data analytics skills to adaptively modify her writing style, optimizing for conversions. She books meetings into her SDR colleagues' calendars and exports engaged prospects to their CRM, all with no human input. And she costs 96% less than hiring someone to do her job. Ava marks the beginning of the next industrial revolution and of an army of artisans we're introducing to take productivity to new heights. This isn't magic. This is the future, and we're just getting started.
All right. So very, very cool, right? So obviously there's going to be a lot of salespeople who might be who potentially could watch this and are going to not like that idea at all because it's going to force them out of a job. And it is unfortunate for those people. It's unfortunate for the people who really enjoy their job. But I believe that if you're really good at your job and you really love your job, then it's probably not going to be at risk in the short term against something like this, because you should be able to outperform the artificial intelligence because there's something about that human connection that the artificial intelligence won't be able to replicate. When you actually have a conversation with someone from the heart, you can't actually replicate that. Having said that, anything that's done online through online marketing or online sales, I think this is where it's going to be exceptionally powerful. And I, for one, am personally excited about this. Running a meditation center, I have a lot of different tasks, and obviously YouTube is one of those things that I really enjoy, and it becomes part of my day-to-day job. And so I actually don't like sales. I don't like it in one bit. I hate being perceived as a salesman, even though I'm out there trying to help people and tell them, hey, you can actually fix everything about your life and everything about your mind just by clearing the things from your mind through meditation. But I don't actually like going out there doing it. I don't like being perceived as a salesman. It's something that I just don't enjoy it. So a tool like this, if I can actually generate money through my YouTube, for example, and then I can offset that money into paying for this sales rep, for me, that's a wonderful thing. That's a really wonderful thing, because then I can actually keep growing the meditation center, which just it's a wonderful thing because it can do the jobs that I don't like because I'm a one-man show at the minute. So this is something that I'm personally very excited about, the potentials of things like this, especially again, if you are like a solo entrepreneur, or you are like you run your own business, this is going to be something that could be very powerful for you as a sole practitioner. So it has its pros and it has its cons. This is always the thing with technology, and it just depends on whether or not you can adapt with the world and accept it and grow with it. This is the thing. So I'm choosing the acceptance and adapting and growing with it. Okay, so now on to the next area. Very interesting. So this is something where one of the articles I had seen was AI generator George Carlin drops comedy special that the daughter speaks out against. No machine will ever replace his genius. This is very interesting. So in terms of culture, it really throws things upside down. I know there's Stable Diffusion as well, has basically been creating like a boxing match between two giants in boxing, and the gap between when they were the world champions is generations. So the debates of whether who's the GOAT out of those two, now if they actually train the models, which is what they're doing at the moment, and actually they have a fight, who would actually win? And of course, whoever would win out of that, people might accept that as like, okay, well, that guy is actually the GOAT. Let's just say it's Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. Let's just say it's those two, for example, and then Mike Tyson wins. There's going to be some debates about that even. Would Mike Tyson really win? And you can never truly really know. You can train it on this, but again, it's still not the real thing. And so it's the same thing with George Carlin here. So George Carlin's daughter, she expressed her disdain for this, and she actually has come out and started suing them. So there was a show that basically more than 15 years after his death, that basically brought back an artificial intelligence generated special called George Carlin, I'm Dead. I'm George Carlin, I'm Glad I'm Dead. So very interesting to actually, me personally, I don't mind that. I think it's really cool. I think if in some way the family members or the organization with which his work is associated gets some sort of profit or royalty from something like this, I actually think that's a wonderful thing. I agree with his daughter. It can never replicate his genius, but I also don't agree, because his genius or his perceived genius is actually just a byproduct of what he's learned. And so it's a byproduct of his brain being quote unquote like a robot, a machine. This is how the human mind works. So if you can program an artificial intelligence robot, then what's the difference? In a way, what's the difference? Now, there's certain things about idea generation that come from the source. This is the thing. So true creativity does come from the source. And I don't think artificial intelligence would be able to replicate that spark. So yes, I do agree with the daughter on the one hand, but I also think, hey, if we can get more George Carlin content, and he was a genius of his time, if we can get more content and more people can enjoy his content, and it actually brings more eyeballs to some of his older content, and they can actually see the things that he was talking about back then, which really for the most part have come to fruition. A lot of comedians are really like, they're doing social commentary through, well, my favorite comedians do social commentary through comedy. People like Ricky Gervais, Dave Chappelle, George Carlin, these guys who are really like questioning and poking society and the nature of society through the art of comedy. And so actually getting new eyes onto what George Carlin was, people that wouldn't have heard of him it now comes into the worldview. People can look back on his content and say, wow, he was actually really a prophet of his time, really foreseeing a lot of the issues in our society. So actually, I don't mind that it can bring new eyeballs and create new content that people can enjoy. But I do see the issue with it, and I do hope that it gets resolved in a way where the family or the estate related to George Carlin actually also is able to profit on that in a positive way. But I also do think it needs to be made very clear that it's AI generated rather than the real George Carlin. And on that, though, again, with the positive aspect of it, the Beatles. So this was actually from a couple of months ago, but I never got a chance to cover it. So I thought this was a good place to slot it in. So the Beatles release AI-powered new song with John Lennon's voice. So everything that was happening. So I'm not sure if anyone's seen Now and so the song is called Now and Then, and it's a song that was billed as the last Beatles song. So it's been billed as the last Beatles song because basically they actually came together a few times to try and get this song together, and then obviously John Lennon died, so then they couldn't, and then they tried again, and George Harrison died. And so now it's like, okay, they're actually using the technology that was produced in Get Back. So Peter Jackson's documentary, Get Back, they actually it's really interesting, actually. They developed a lot of new technology whilst they were producing and editing Get Back to actually basically dissect a track in such a specific way through the uses of artificial intelligence. So they could really take apart John Lennon's voice in this track or take apart the piano in a way that's never been done before. So it was revolutionary technology thanks to the power of artificial intelligence. And thanks to that technology, they've actually also been able to go back to some of these tapes of these songs now and then and actually utilize some of that, get Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr to actually do the live versions, and then incorporate John Lennon and George Harrison into it and really alter and produce it in a way that it's very clear. The issues that they were having with Now and Then for such a long time was John Lennon's vocal tracks to his piano it wasn't mixed well enough, so the sounds weren't very clear. So the singing was very distorted compared to the piano. So the fact that they were actually able to dissect it and then re-put it back together and make it all nice and clear into this new song, I think that's brilliant. I absolutely love that. I know the Beatles are really I don't want to have this video taken down, so I wonder if, I mean, I assume if I give the credit that it won't get taken down. I'm kind of hoping that's going to be the case. Oh well, this is actually the documentary, so you can actually watch this. It's really interesting. I watched all of it. If you're a Beatles fan like I am, you'll find it very interesting. We'll leave the link. I will leave the link, and actually I probably will leave the link for all of these in the description in the show notes. But I would also recommend just going onto YouTube and looking up Now and Then. It's actually a really, really lovely song, as you would expect with the Beatles. So supercomputers, this is awesome. Awesome. So Frontier trained a ChatGPT sized large language model with only 3,000 of its 37,888 Radeon GPUs. The world's fastest supercomputer blasts through 1 trillion parameter model with only 8% of its GPUs. This is part of the scaling up of society. So at the moment, we're going to be limited by the energy outputs that we have, the computing outputs that we have, and that's going to limit the amount that we can scale. So as awesome as artificial intelligence is now, it's really only the beginning. The amount of power and computing power that goes into it is phenomenal. And so when you think about artificial general intelligence, so the unity of all these artificial intelligence is really going to need a new level of technology. It's going to need a new layer of energy output that's going to exceed the kind of energy output that we have now, because supercomputers require massive amounts of energy. And then, of course, it's going to probably need like multiple supercomputers to run it, in the same way that at the moment you have like multiple GPUs running artificial intelligence. So in order to get this conscious artificial intelligence, which will be the artificial general intelligence, something that's learning continuously on the fly, like it's got all this artificial intelligence, all these artificial intelligence data sources around the world that are disconnected, and they're all getting connected and plugged into this thing, which would be like the artificial general intelligence. And even before then, maybe it would be like all the different the specific artificial intelligences of science, or maybe just say medicine, get plugged into this medical general intelligence, and then all the things related to like nature AI gets plugged into like a nature general intelligence, and then there'll be like a super general intelligence which will connect all those general intelligences together. So that maybe that could be the AGI. Maybe that's the point where we get to like this conscious thinking being, which would be like, is this artificial intelligence or is this a being? And this is where, wow, what does it actually mean to be a human? What does it mean to be alive? What is a soul? What is life? What is death? It's going to be a really interesting part of society in the future, where we're going to question what's actually going on with reality and with life. So very, very cool to slowly see these advancements and stay on top of them. So the next, computing. So computing and robots is a big, big part of artificial intelligence, and I keep seeing more and more news. So at the moment, I'm just going to flick through these. So this one is backed by OpenAI. This Norwegian startup just raised $100 million funding to bring humanoid robots into your living space. So with the last episode, I showed Tesla's robot, and it's a big part of Tesla. Everyone thinks Tesla is just cars, but robotics and artificial intelligence is a big part of what Tesla is doing. So keep an eye on this. Competition is always good. Samsung's Bowley robot is now a projector that follows you around. So the updated version of Bowley is AI equipped and can handle smart home requests. phone calls, and apparently feeding your pet if it ever comes to that. So if you go back to, again, what the story with LG, it's the same kind of principle. So now Samsung also is starting to look at these things and starting to unify all these separate devices within a home. So through this Bally device.
Sure.
Here's today's exercise result. Could you call Will? Okay.
Hey, Bully. We're going to bed now.
Bring home your new companion, Bali.
Good old Samsung, LG, the Koreans. So I see the future there. I don't know if you've seen Blade Runner, especially Blade Runner 2024, the new Blade Runner. It's awesome. And it's like, I see that future of that AI. I mean, it's not an actual robot in that, but that's the kind of thing that I see. I see a robot that is basically like a servant. I wouldn't want to call it a servant, but a companion, a home servant, someone that does everything for you at home. Now, this can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, because actually I do believe in maintaining your everyday chores, cleaning, vacuuming the floor, washing dishes. I think this is very good to get the blood flow. If we're just sitting down all day, it's actually really no good for you. The places that live the longest, the blue zones, they're moving all the time. But what this can actually help you with is doing the menial tasks, the kinds of things that you don't want to do. And for me personally, I do like cooking. I do enjoy cooking, but it's something that takes so long. And I'm extremely busy at the moment. And it's one of the deterrents for cooking, because I'm so busy that I don't like to spend like an hour cooking a meal and then I just eat it for like 5 or 10 minutes. And then you got to clean up everything. That's another half an hour. And it's like 2 hours out of your day just for one meal, just to cook like a nice, healthy meal. So it's something where I'm like, I would like to use it for something like this. It might be a little bit lazy, but I still like to do my washing, my cleaning, my vacuuming. I like doing all that stuff. It's like a nice half an hour, 45-minute task. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. Cooking, enjoy, but it does take up a lot of time. So if you can get the AI assistant, particularly on days where it's like, man, I don't have the time today, can you please go and cook me this meal? And I don't have to order out takeaway. I don't have to have something that I don't enjoy just for the sake of eating. I can be like, okay, cook me a cauliflower dish and surprise me. Like, that would be awesome. That would be freaking sweet. So that's what I see with these kinds of devices. I see the future when I look at Bally and how we're only just like at stage one. We're just like, horse and cart, basically. We're not even anywhere near the car stage yet with artificial intelligence and robotics. BMW taps humanoid startup figure to take on Tesla's robot. So again, Tesla, I mean, it's awesome. Tesla is like an innovator, but because they're an innovator, people are wanting to compete against them. So this is the thing. So this is what's really exciting. So BMW is getting into it because Tesla has automated self-driving. So they basically broke a record with automated self-driving. So now BMW is coming to the party to play against Tesla. And this is what we want to see. Competition drives innovation, and innovation is good for society, and it's good for the cost because it drives costs down. Now, this super cool. So on again, Bally. So now this is a restaurant. So this is super cool. So I'm going to play this because I'll just play just like a tiny snippet of this. So basically, this is a completely automated AI restaurant. So very, very cool. There is no staff. There is just robots that do everything. So let's have a look at this because it's freaking awesome.
Taste test.
Flippy the chef makes Spud spectacular. This automated grill gives the meat its sizzle as this restaurant goes robotic.
For this burger, it'll take about 120 seconds.
Cali Express by Flippy is the world's first AI-powered eatery. There's new technology outside the kitchen, too.
A cheeseburger.
Order kiosks use facial recognition to remember you, your favorite food, and how you like to pay. Then watch the robots work. No humans required.
We can't get enough people to come out to work on fryers and grills. They're dangerous jobs. And this automation helps solve a lot of those issues.
62% of restaurants report being understaffed. Industry experts say most of those unfilled jobs could be done by robots. And in California, where the minimum wage for most fast food workers will soon be $20 an hour, fewer workers equals cost savings. Dan Ives is with Wedbush Securities, a wealth management firm.
Once the minimum wage went to 20, that's the bell going off. More and more focus on spending on AI. Because look, that's inflationary. That's the problem. You can't necessarily pass all that to the consumer.
Flippy can cook 250 pounds of French fries an hour. The burger bot, 100 patties.
These restaurants are very, very busy at peak times, and every second that gets added to somebody waiting in the drive-thru is a lost revenue opportunity for that restaurant.
Is it costing people their jobs?
That's not what we've seen. It's really here to help people.
Okay, I think that's enough for now. So obviously, again, it's a double-edged sword, right? So, I mean, he says it's not costing people's job, but I think that that's undeniable. And of course, they're going to take that angle. It's in their interest of their company's profit and their company's bottom line. And that there is precisely the issue. What I hope for with artificial intelligence, I hope for more people with the consciousness of helping the world, and then utilizing AI to actually help the world. When I look at something like this, it's like, okay, great. It's going to fill in jobs that nobody else wants to do. But then I also see the downside of that. The amount of young people who actually start their working career in jobs like that, and they make their money and they actually get started on their future through these types of jobs. With artificial intelligence, it's going to take away the opportunities for young people. It's going to take away those opportunities for jobs. So that's going to be the downside effect of it. And this is only just one industry. So this is just the restaurant industry. It's obviously going to scale out to every aspect of society where the robots and artificial intelligence are really going to do a large part of the work. I mean, even now, ChatGPT, it's getting better and better. Soon, you're probably not going to need lawyers. You're probably not going to need doctors. You're probably not going to need, like, I don't know, perhaps engineers, maybe architects. I want to say maybe architects will stay because we have the creative aspect that I don't think really can be fully replicated by artificial intelligence in the way that like a really good architect who's really connected to the source can. But in any case, it's really going to take a lot of jobs away. It's going to free up a lot of time, but it's also going to create the kinds of mental health issues where people are really going to wonder, what is my purpose in life? My purpose in life used to be tied to my job, but what is it now? I have no job. I can't work. So it's going to be really interesting. It's going to have pros and cons. But like I said, I'm hoping there's going to be people with a higher consciousness who want to help people who have those issues. So basically, in other words, what I'm saying is if artificial intelligence is only utilized for the bottom line, and that's generally what happens with companies, they're only looking after their bottom line and maximizing their profit. So they don't really care about the people. The people can just come and go as long as it's cheap for them and they get more profit. What I'm hoping for is a new wave of CEOs that, yes, they care about the profit and the bottom line and the shareholders, but they also care about helping people. So if they have that consciousness of saying, yes, we're going to have robots who are basically assisting people, they're going to fill in the jobs that basically maybe we can't get enough staff for, but we're also going to allow for staff. We're going to allow people to actually come into our space and work here and generate an income, even if it's in the loss of the company and their profit isn't maximized by actually hiring their staff. It's reduced by hiring staff, but they're actually doing a good service for the world. This is what I'm hoping for, because I also believe with companies that are run by CEOs like that, people also will gravitate towards those companies. They'll say, well, I'd rather put my money into this company than this company. I'd rather the fact that I'm helping somebody get a job and this one's not getting a job. I don't mind paying an extra 50 cents for my burger or an extra $1 for my burger, as long as I'm basically keeping someone off the streets and in a job. So it's going to be a very interesting dynamic, but I do believe, again, it's going to tie in with the consciousness. This whole artificial intelligence is really just a tool to back up the new consciousness that is coming to fruition in the planet now, the true consciousness, the consciousness of the universe. All right, so now onto the metaverse. Man, some really awesome innovations in metaverse. So let's have a look at this. So this is super cool. So one step closer to holodeck, introducing Holotiles. So this is an AR, VR. Basically, walking is now possible. Have a look at this.
I can walk on this omnidirectional floor in any direction I want. It will automatically do whatever it needs to have me stay on the floor. And what's amazing about this is multiple people can be on it and all walking independently. They can walk in virtual reality and so many other things. I can walk on this omnidirectional.
There we go. That is super cool. So the end part, they can walk in virtual reality. That is super, super cool. And this is something where it's like, this is what it's going to have to be like. It can't, well, in my opinion, I think that's probably part of the reason why maybe people's senses get a bit distorted with VR goggles, is because you're actually not engaging your entire body. So when you can actually start to engage your entire body, like you're running through a forest, but you're actually just running on these tiles, this hollow tile floor, that's super cool. But then also scale that up, like get rid of the AR glasses. I mean, sorry, the VR glasses. What if the whole room is like that? So you've got this hollow tile here, and the whole room is like, I don't know, some kind of mesh, and you're like walking through this mesh and move. Let's say you're walking through a forest, then the mesh is like coming at you, and the mesh has like certain visuals, so it looks like a tree, and you're like pushing past this tree or climbing through this cave or whatever it is. Like the mesh is actually the thing that you're integrating with, and that's this virtual world, this metaverse world. So this was a big advancement. This was something where I saw it and I was like, awesome, that is awesome. So thank you very much, Disney. That is really cool. Really cool advancement. Okay, so Apple Vision Pro headsets to go on sale in US started in February too. So that's today. So the Apple Pro headset. So let's take a look at this video as well. So this is a very visual episode. Oh, quite pricey. It's definitely an extremely beautiful device. You would expect nothing less of Apple. So it looks beautiful. It's in direct competition to Meta's Quest. So basically they're 3,499. I mean, that's very expensive, but you know, it's just like everything. It will start off extremely expensive, and as the technologies improve, as competition improves, it's going to get cheaper and cheaper. So again, I still look at VR and I'm still uncertain. It kind of makes me just feel a little bit nauseous just thinking about it. So I do still wonder if it's going to be virtual reality or what it's actually going to be. It's going to need to be something that's so comfortable you don't even feel like you're wearing something on your head. So this is going to be, again, maybe if you go to this mesh idea and the actual room is the VR, but you might actually have to have something over your head. I don't know, like some sort of mask or something that's non-invasive and it's like really comfortable and you don't even feel like you're wearing something, and it's through that you're actually like, instead of having this thing which is like stuck over to your eyes, maybe it would be better if it was more like a helmet or something. I have no idea. So these are just some of the speculations. So in terms of investing, just very briefly, it's all about the big companies. So Microsoft becomes the second company to hit $3 trillion market cap. So obviously Apple is the first company that hit the $3 trillion market cap, and Microsoft was the second. So big news. And they also had, they basically Microsoft beats Q2 earnings on AI, basically on AI cloud strength. So this was actually towards the end of, I believe this was the end of last year. Oh, this is January 31, Q2. Okay, all right, interesting. Okay, yes, because Q1 is halfway through the year. All right, so they're just continuously smashing records. You also had AMD, which did a big run and had a big sell-off as well, which is in competition with NVIDIA. So the whole tech space is the place to be investing, but a lot of this stuff has already really moved. So I'm still keeping my eye on cryptocurrency and really keeping my eye on the speculation. And I haven't really seen anything that's taken my fancy yet. And I do believe that when something does, I'll hear about it because I'm connected with all of those sources. So I'm keeping my eyes open for that. And as soon as I hear something, I'm sure I'll do a video straight away on it to try and get it out to the audience as soon as possible. But at the moment, it's really just about speculating and buying things that you might be interested in. For example, you have the Graph, you have Sandbox. A lot of these things actually haven't really done much yet. So you can just speculate in these AI and metaverse tokens in the cryptocurrency, but I'm not saying whether they're going to run or not. I do think they will have their time in the sun, but at the moment they're really not having any attention at all in the industry. So because there hasn't been any like huge advancements, huge leaps. Once we do see a huge leap and a huge advancement, maybe that's when the eyeballs will go towards AI and metaverse. But really also, there's a large part of me that believes that the money just wants to go somewhere. So the money will flow into that asset class, and then there'll be a narrative created around it that basically brings in exit liquidity. So people like myself who hear about it late, and it's like, oh, let's get into all this AI stuff. But it's already pumped. It's already done like a 10x. And then you hear about it because it's in the news. So now I'm actually trying to get more direct to the sources rather than the news. It's already too late. If you're hearing it in the news, it's already too late. You're the exit liquidity. So the money flows into there. They'll create a narrative to pump it up and then get the exit liquidity. So these are the things that I'm actually really starting to learn. So that's why even if there isn't going to be a narrative, you might want to position yourself in some of these early, but I'm also skeptical about whether or not it can run. Maybe it might not run within this cycle. It might actually require, again, some sort of massive innovation. So I hope you enjoyed that January roundup. Some really awesome things in artificial intelligence. Rabbit was released. We had all those cool innovations in robotics, amazing innovations in the metaverse. And of course, in the investing world, Microsoft just keeps knocking it out of the park. So hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for the February episode. And thank you very much. Take care. Enjoy your month.